The start of a new school year always feels a little like opening a fresh novel. You know something meaningful is about to unfold, but you're not quite sure what twists and turns await. Whether you're preparing to teach AP English literature for the first time or returning with years of experience under your belt, this moment is full of potential. Maybe you're wondering how to balance rigor with accessibility, how to choose texts that resonate, or how to guide students toward writing that's both insightful and original. Or maybe it's time to reevaluate your approach to your curriculum. After 17 years in the AP Lit classroom and 14 years as an AP reader scoring AP exams, I've learned that there's no single formula for success. But there are strategies, habits, and resources that make a real difference. Here's a practical roadmap to help you kick off the year with clarity, confidence, and creativity. Before you start building your year-round annotated novels and deep dive discussions, it's important to get grounded in the structure of the AP English Literature exam. Knowing how students will be assessed helps you teach with clarity and purpose without sacrificing the joy of literature. Section 1 is multiple choice, 55 questions in 60 minutes. Students will analyze excerpts from prose and poetry, and this part counts for 45% of their total score. Typically, this section has 3 poems and 2 prose passages. Section 2 is the free response section, 3 essays in 2 hours. 1 poem analysis, 1 prose analysis, and 1 open-ended literary argument. That's approximately 40 minutes per essay. This section makes up the remaining 55% of the score. Let's look more closely at both sections of the exam. Understanding the exam's expectations lets you reverse engineer your instruction so that every discussion, writing prompt, and passage you explore are building the skills your students will need on the test day and beyond. The multiple choice section of the AP English Literature exam evaluates students' ability to engage critically with both poetry and prose. Using close reading skills, students are expected to read poems and prose passages and analyze a range of literary elements, including characterization, setting, and narrative structure, as well as more dynamic features such as plot development, types of contrasts, and central conflicts. Students need to move beyond just what is being said and start asking who's saying it and how. That means digging into narrative perspective, distinguishing between speaker and narrator, recognizing shifts in point of view, unpacking syntax, and questioning the reliability of the voice telling the story. These elements aren't just technical, they're key to unlocking deeper meaning and recognizing the author's intentional choices. And of course, figurative language isn't just literary window dressing, it's where so much of a text's emotional and thematic power lives. Students should be comfortable spotting metaphors, similes, personification, allusions, and imagery. But more importantly, they need to understand how those choices impact meaning. How do they shape tone, reinforce a theme? What effect does a single phrase have on the mood of a scene? This is where interpretation moves from surface to substance. Now let's consider the essays, the heart of the AP Lit exam. Beyond the multiple choice section, the free response questions are where students really get to show what they know. The first 2 prompts, poetry analysis and prose analysis, ask students to do more than summarize or react. They need to craft a clear, defensible interpretation based on a focused topic and supported with well-developed body paragraphs that explain how the author or poet uses specific literary elements and techniques to create meaning. It's not just about what they notice, it's about what they can prove through analysis. Then comes the third question, the literary argument. This is where students choose a novel or play they've studied or read independently and construct a literary analysis essay based on a broad theme or idea. Think of it as the ultimate open book, open text challenge, except the book is in their brain. It's where skills meet stamina and where strong teaching really pays off. If you're wondering how students typically perform, this table illustrates trends in national score distributions since the exam redesign in 2020. Although 3 is technically a passing score, college credit policies vary. Some institutions require a 4 or even a 5 for credit or placement. And yes, a 5 is rare, which the national score data consistently reflects. However, a 4 is within reach for many students, especially with steady growth in reading and analytical writing over the year. An encouraging trend for lit teachers? The passing rate for the AP exam has increased, with 74% of students in 2025 earning a 3 or higher. This shift isn't just a fluke. The scoring guidelines were adjusted to better align with the actual skill levels students demonstrated, particularly their ability to analyze literature at a college level. That change is expected to continue going forward, giving more students the opportunity to earn credit while still upholding the rigor of the course. With a clear picture of the expectations for the AP English Literature exam and an understanding of how students typically perform, it's the perfect time to begin shaping your year-long plan. If you're just starting out with AP Lit, consider following the unit progression outlined in the course and exam description. This resource, available on the College Board website, offers a comprehensive overview of key concepts, types of literary works, and skills that should be addressed throughout the course. You may also consider alternative organizational structures for your course, such as a thematic approach, which centers instructions around recurring ideas or concepts found across literary texts. Some examples include the struggle between individual identity and societal expectations, the destructive nature of unchecked ambition, the role of women in patriarchal societies, the illusion of the American dream, and love as a path to self-discovery or personal growth. Another effective option is organizing the curriculum by literary eras. While this method offers valuable historical and cultural context, it's important to note that beginning with texts from the 1600s may present linguistic challenges for some students due to the complexity of the language. An alternative strategy is to start with postmodern literature and progress chronologically in reverse. This allows students to gradually strengthen their reading and analytical skills over time, better preparing them to engage with more demanding language of earlier literary periods. Of course, teaching the material is only part of the journey. How else might you support your students in becoming confident readers and writers prepared for the rigor of the AP exam? In the sections ahead, we'll look at practical, classroom-tested strategies designed to build not only content knowledge, but also the analytical and interpretive abilities students need to thrive on test day. 1. Choose a manageable core text list. Select a balanced mix of canonical and contemporary texts representing diverse authors, genres, and time periods, and ensure your texts support close reading and literary argument writing. Your curriculum should include short stories and excerpts from prose fiction works as well as poetry. Include at least one Shakespearean play, one 20th or 21st century novel, one pre-20th century novel or play, and several poems and short stories. Also, choose texts that support close reading, thematic exploration, and rich literary analysis. Some examples include Hamlet, Frankenstein, Their Eyes Were Watching God, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, The Things They Carried, and poetry spanning multiple author styles and time periods. And don't forget short stories by authors such as James Joyce, Jhumpa Lahiri, or Alice Munro. Number 2, incorporate poetry instruction and activities often in your curriculum. Teaching poetry regularly in an AP Lit classroom is key, not just for preparing students for the exam, but also for helping them grow as readers and writers. The AP exam usually includes 3 poems in the multiple choice section and 1 poetry analysis essay, so students need plenty of practice. Plus, poetry can actually boost engagement and make class more interesting. Setting up simple routines like a poem a day or Poetry Fridays gives students regular exposure and helps build their confidence. Mixing poetry into your existing units or pairing it with longer texts lets students make deeper connections across different genres and time periods. Using past AP prompts for timed writing practice helps them get comfortable with the format, and short mini lessons on poetic devices sharpen their analytical skills. Class discussions where students can share different interpretations also help them feel more confident when it's time to write. Including poems from a wide range of voices makes the reading experience more inclusive and helps students see the relevance of poetry today. Finally, small assessments like quick annotations or short writing responses keep students practicing without overwhelming them. When poetry is woven into the course throughout the year, students become more comfortable with challenging texts and learn to appreciate the richness poetry offers. Number 3, assign small writing tasks. In an AP Lit class, you don't always need to assign full-length essays to help students grow as writers. In fact, smaller, focused writing tasks, like single-paragraph analyses or short thesis and evidence exercises, can be more effective. They give students a chance to practice key skills without the pressure of a full essay, which helps build their confidence. These kinds of assignments are also quicker to grade, making it easier for teachers to give timely feedback. Over time, these shorter responses add up and prepare students for the longer essays later in the year. Integrate frequent writing practice. Writing should be a regular part of the AP Lit experience, not just something students do at the end of a unit. Start early and keep it consistent. The more students write, the more comfortable and confident they'll become with literary analysis. Be sure to include time writes, especially AP-style free response questions, or FRQs. At first, give them scaffolding. Provide sentence starters, thesis templates, or even outlines. Over time, remove those supports and have them write independently under timed conditions. This builds the stamina they'll need for the exam, where they'll be writing 3 essays in 2 hours. Also, introduce the AP FRQ rubrics early on. Don't wait until the second semester. Go over the rubric categories, thesis, evidence, and commentary, and sophistication, and use them every time you give feedback. Also, have students self-score or peer score using the rubric too. It helps them understand what the College Board is really looking for and gives them clear goals to work toward. 5, focus on skill building, not just content. It is definitely important for students to know key texts and literary movements, but the AP Lit exam is really about how well they can analyze and interpret what they read, not just how much they've read. That's why it's so important to focus on building literary analysis skills all year long. Rather than racing through novels and plays, slow things down and give students lots of chances to practice the 6 core AP Lit skills, which the College Board identifies as character, setting, structure, narration, figurative language, and literary argument. And 6, encourage discussion and interpretation. Encouraging rich discussion and interpretation in the AP English Literature classroom is key to helping students think deeply, engage with texts, and build the analytical skills they'll need for the exam. One way to spark meaningful conversations and interpretations around literature is using Socratic seminars, where you hand the reins over to the students and let them lead the conversation with open-ended questions. Giving them prep questions ahead of time and assigning roles like questioner or connector helps everyone stay engaged and make sure the focus stays on interpretation, not just trying to find a right answer. Fishbowl discussions work well too. Half the class discusses while the other half observes, and then they switch. It's a great way to ease more hesitant students into speaking up and make space for thoughtful reflection before diving in. You can also keep things low pressure and fun with other strategies. Try collaborative annotations where students mark up a passage together on a whiteboard, a shared Google Doc, or a big chart paper. They can highlight literary devices, ask questions, or drop in their thoughts. And it's especially great for students who might not feel ready to speak up just yet. Think, pair, share, and turn and talk are quick ways to get everyone thinking before whole class discussion. Or toss out a text-based challenge. Give the class a claim like, "The narrator can't be trusted," and have them find evidence to prove or disprove it. Interpretive journals are another awesome tool. Just a quick reflection before or after class discussion helps students organize their thoughts. Ask questions like, "What stood out to you?" or "What's a big question this passage raises?" to get them started. You can also spice things up with controversial or ambiguous passages that get students debating or exploring different perspectives. And tools like discussion dice or cards keep things interactive and fresh. For something more creative, have students take on a character's perspective or argue a theme from a specific lens like feminist or Marxist. And don't forget to circle back to big, essential questions throughout the unit. Students' answers will change as they dig deeper into the text, and it's a cool way for them to see their growth. All of these approaches help students feel more comfortable talking about literature and make your classroom a place where everyone's voice matters. There's no shortage of support out there when you're teaching AP English literature. It's just a matter of knowing where to look. Your go-to starting point is the College Board's AP Central. It has everything you need to understand the course and the exam. Sample FRQs with scored examples, the official rubrics, and most importantly, the course and exam description can be found there. Think the CED as your course map. It breaks down all the units, skills, and objectives you're expected to teach throughout the year. And if you're new to AP Lit, sitting down with the CED before diving into planning can make a big difference in how confident you feel. One of the best parts of teaching AP Lit is the community of educators who are constantly sharing tips, materials, and encouragement. If you're the lone AP Lit teacher in your building or even your district, don't worry. Jump into groups like the AP English Literature Teachers Facebook group or the College Board's online teacher community. You'll find pacing guides, essay scaffolds, text suggestions, and tons of support from teachers who've been in your shoes. As for digital tools, there are a few platforms that can really elevate your instruction. AP Classroom offers unit-aligned videos, progress checks, and questions you can assign throughout the year. It's a great way to get your students comfortable with the types of questions they'll see on the exam. UWorld is another fantastic option. It provides a QBank with over 1,000 questions with explanations, a full writing curriculum, and tools that help students sharpen both their analytical reading and essay writing skills. Plus, it gives them a feel for the digital testing environment. Visit collegereadiness.uworld.com to explore tools designed to enhance learning and build confidence all year long. As you step into this AP literature journey, remember that you're not expected to do it all at once or alone. The path to preparing students for the AP exam becomes far more manageable when you focus on what truly matters, building skills through intentional reading, incorporating poetry throughout all units, consistent writing practice, and meaningful discussion. With the right strategies in place, you'll help your students grow into thoughtful, confident readers and writers. And just as importantly, you'll be creating a space where literature is explored with curiosity and purpose. So keep that passion that brought you to this role. Stay curious, stay flexible, and trust your instincts. You're not just teaching a course. You're helping students discover how language shapes the world around them and their place in it. You're ready for this, and your students will be too. Here's to a meaningful, successful year ahead. If you want to learn more about how UWorld can help save time and boost student success, visit collegereadiness.uworld.com to access UWorld's library of content you can use in your classroom today.